Our number is plateauing a little bit. So I want to give an official welcome to the Tommie webinar for Residence Life. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. My name is Aaron Mackey, and I am the Associate Dean of Students and Director for Residence Life here at St. Thomas. And on behalf of everyone here at St. Thomas, thank you for your interest in our institution, for putting in your application and getting admitted. And for those of you who have confirmed, we look forward to seeing you in the fall. For those who are admitted but not confirmed, maybe still looking at some schools, we hope that we can give you some good information tonight and through the coming weeks and answer your questions, and hope that we can get you confirmed and see you in the fall. We will go ahead and get started. So welcome to Residence Life. Again, my name is Aaron Mackey. We have a team of folks with us this evening. My colleague, Shekinah Hudson, is our Living Learning Program Manager. Her and I will be doing a presentation for you tonight. We have three wonderful students who will introduce themselves when they come on, who'll be part of that presentation as well. And then we will save some time at the end for a question and answer. In the meantime, if you would like, you can use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to write in questions. We will watch those as the presentation goes on. If we have some common themes, we'll address those at the end. If there are some things that are specific, we have colleagues behind the scenes, Morgan and Vern and Brian, who are going to write in some answers to those questions as we go. Please know that you are muted automatically, so you can be comfortable at home and talk and have dinner, whatever you need to do, and we will go forward. This event tonight typically is hosted in person, called Residence Life Night. And I never thought I'd say this over the last year and haven't said it very often, but it's nice to do this virtually as I look out my window and see the cold and the snow blowing. Typically 600 of you are taking tours around campus right now and seeing our halls. So this works out very nice. And please know that our website has virtual tours, videos on it as well. So you can see all the halls on a line, and that we have lots of opportunities for you to come to campus this spring and summer as well too, to visit. So we'll get started. I'm going to give a little overview here of Residence Life, and Shekinah then will go into some of the pieces around LLC, TBLC, and our first year experience. So the first thing we want all of you students to know is that we do everything we can here to create an environment, to create space that feels good for you, where you can bring who you are to this space. We know that moving away from home and moving on campus can already be challenging or anxious moments filled with lots of excitement. So we want to do everything we can for you to bring your true self to campus and feel included, feel safe in our spaces, feel welcome, feel like you're at home. It's a great opportunity living on campus to connect with your peers, to meet new people, to develop friendships, whether those are friendships for a year or they're lifelong friendships. It's a great opportunity to connect, obviously to connect with our faculty and our staff and really learn more about who you are and develop a sense of community at our institution. Our first year halls, general overview. So coming onto campus here in the fall, if you can move Chris to the first year housing halls, thank you. These are all the different halls that we have available for our first year students. You'll indicate these through a preferencing process or through a selection of an LLC, but just to give you a general overview. These are community living spaces. Brady Dowling Residence Hall are two of our larger residence halls on campus for first year students. The reason why we note those together is that we are going to be doing renovations next year of both of those halls. So we're going to have Dowling offline in the fall, getting a full renovation, full makeover. So you will be living in Brady Hall in the fall. And then come January, we will transition you from Brady. So you who are residents with our RAs and our staff, transitioning over to a newly renovated Dowling Hall for the spring if you end up living in Brady in the fall. Creighton and Grace residence halls are halls on our south part of campus. We have a lot of music and science and engineering classes that are on our south campus. Creighton and Grace are residence halls there. Ireland Hall is newly renovated for us a year ago. It's one of our oldest halls on campus. It's up on the north part, on the north quad, brand new renovation for Ireland Hall. Community living, community bathroom, community spaces. Murray Residence Hall is a little bit more unique. It's kind of suite style. So it's a large resident room where 3 residents will live, but you have your own semi-private bath within your room. So a little change, a little uniqueness. 70 residents, so it's a slightly smaller community, but real tight knit, good for developing close friendships. And then Tommie North and Tommie East are our newest halls. Those open this fall for us in fall of 2020, new construction. Tommie North is about 480 students. Again, first year students on North Quad. It has a dining facility within it called the North Sider, lots of community space. But again, it's community living in terms of shared common space, study, lounge, kitchen, and bathroom. Tommie East is a hall that we actually built for our second year students as we go into our residency requirement. But for next year, we're going to continue to house first year students in Tommie East. So that's another opportunity. It's community living, but slightly smaller communities, kind of suite style. So 4 rooms sharing a couple smaller bath situations and a corridor and a pod of about 36. So a little different layout you can see online. But again, a community living concept. So all of our halls are about community living. You will have roommates. You'll be sharing space, study lounge, recreation, sharing bathroom space, sharing community space. Kitchens are in all of our halls. We have staff in all of our halls in terms of professional staff and student leaders that we call resident advisors or RAs. So it's all about community living. As part of living on campus, you will also receive a meal plan. We call it the unlimited meal plan. This means you can go in and out of our North Sider and the View unlimited amounts of times. Those are our 2 large residential dining facilities. So if you get up in the morning and you like to just grab a small snack or something on your way to class, you can go in and grab a bagel or some fruit, whatever it might be, not worrying about some kind of declining balance or meal count or whatever else. You go in, you grab what you need, head off to class. You can get a late morning snack, come in for lunch. If you need something kind of the mid-afternoon time, you have dinner, you have late night. And what we're just trying to do is just be really flexible and accommodating to you and your different meeting styles and eating habits. So you don't feel like you have to go in for a meal and eat everything you can eat. It's really about you spreading out your day and being flexible and getting what you need out of a dining facility. So it's an unlimited dining plan. For those of you who are looking for sustainable dining or eating, or looking for a real healthy style of eating, we have all of these options for you. Our dining halls are all inclusive in terms of what we provide. They're very flexible. If you're someone who would like some nutrition information, you're living, away from home and you're going into, living in the halls and eating on campus, and you'd like some more information about how you can eat well, we have a dietitian, nutritionist that's on campus that will meet with you and put together a dining plan if you'd like to. For those who are, have food allergies and are concerned or are interested in what the dietary options would be for allergens, we have a G8 station in the North Sider. Again, our nutritionist and our dietitian can work with you on whatever your allergy situation might be. Again, what we want for you in terms of this dining experience and this living experience is for you to be at home, for you to be comfortable, for it to be customized to what you need and what you want, and for you to feel very comfortable here on campus with your living learning experience. For the next part of this now, we're going to get into some pieces that will sound more academic. It's called our first year experience. And it will sound that way because it is. College right now is much of a blended interaction and a merging of your in-classroom and your out-of-classroom experiences. I'm someone who's 46 years old. I have a son who's going off to college next year, and it's a very different time than when I was in college, and that's designed that way. Our residence halls are very much a living and a learning experience. Our campuses are very much a curricular and a co-curricular experience. So we want to talk with you now a little bit about this first year experience and how that connects to housing. Shekinah?
Hi, Aaron. Thank you for kicking us off and moderating us till we get to this very important part, right? Housing, we know that is a very, very crucial part to your decision making for a college campus, especially at this time of year, right? We have COVID going on. Want to acknowledge that we're going to see different changes and keep you updated as much as possible, right? We all have the anxiety, but know that we will find a way to make sure your experience is great here at St. Thomas, in addition to ensuring that you have the best transition from your high school experience to summer into now going into your collegiate experience at St. Thomas. So thank you all. My name is Shekinah Hudson. I am the Living Learning Program Manager. So I oversee all of our learning communities and help oversee with the TBA excuse me, TBLC or theme-based learning communities within the first year experience curriculum. And so we're going to dive into all that and what does that mean and how does that connect with our housing process, with your roommate process, and then we'll give some opportunity for us to do some Q&A after that. So please put your questions in as you get them. Please note that some of them we probably will answer as we get through these presentation slides. So forewarning, lots of content. Again, this is being recorded, so no need to memorize, try to take pictures and all those things. You can always access this again on the web portal. So let's talk about first year experience. In college, we like to use a lot of acronyms. So we also call this FYE on our campus. So first year experience, FYE, very much almost any college campus have this experience that is very much dedicated to the first year students coming into their college campuses. It's a foundational experience that will bring success to you and your student at St. Thomas, and it gives you a sense of belonging and community. So this is not just we're telling you to be in a class, but it also builds culture at St. Thomas here. It builds affinity for St. Thomas, and it helps you transition from that, that very stressful time that college will be stressful sometimes. If no one told you, I'm sure you've heard it from parents and families, siblings, but it is a great course to help you build community. You all are going through this together as a cohort of a first year student. So that's the biggest piece of this FYE. It is a requirement, a part of the curriculum. So it is, the first part is that Foundations for College Success. That's FYE 100. So that's one of the courses that you'll see on your college schedule for sure. Guaranteed, that will be on your college schedule. And then there's a learning community requirement. So to fulfill that learning community requirement, you must participate in either a living learning community, that's called an LLC, love those acronyms again, or a theme-based learning community, which is TBLC. So what does that mean for you as a student? This is a requirement also, and it is to engage you and engage your students in an experience, again, as Aaron talked about, that in and out of classroom learning and engagement that happens, right? Not just in the academic setting, but also in their residence halls, also on your college campus, on the communities, in the quad, in the dining hall. So truly a collegiate learning experience throughout your whole time here at St. Thomas. So both LLCs and TBLC have out of classroom experiences that you are expected to engage in. And what that means is that we value that out of classroom experience, right? We value that there's learning that happens outside the classroom around these different topic areas. So this is a part of that experience to bring it all together to say, hey, I don't just learn in my classroom, I don't just socialize in my residence hall, all connected together to be able to unite you all as a cohort. So your choice of LLC and TBLC is connected to your residence hall and the experience, right? So it's not only just your residence hall, but it also is the experience that you will have as a first year student. Chris, we can advance the slide. Perfect. So let's dive in a little bit deeper about the learning community requirement. So LLCs, so they are specialized learning communities and environments that connect students with similar academic or personal interests in and outside of the classroom. So students will take an LLC course in the fall and live in the same community. So that means that students will take a course or courses around a certain area, depending on how big the LLC cohort for each of the individual LLCs are. And then they'll engage with faculty and staff and our students to create an experience throughout their fall semester. And then they'll also live in the same community together. So it's all about keeping that integrity of the program, keeping them engaged in a holistic experience to a student learning and living in their community. For our TBLCs, our theme-based learning communities, they provide students with an experience that is centered around our mission. St. Thomas is a very mission-driven institution. It's one of the things that drove me here to work here as a professional. And so students will be able to take 2 theme-based courses from different academic areas in the fall. So both options are great. They are designed for you as first year students. And so, right, this is where we tell you as students or incoming and confirming students, hey, I need to make some choices right now about what I want my collegiate experience, especially within the first year experience, to be. And so the theme-based learning communities, there are 5 different themes for that area. All right, so let's dive a little bit deeper on the theme-based learning community. So the goal, again, to provide you with this experience that is centered around the mission. There are 5 themes choices. So environmental sustainability, change making, social justice, human well-being, culture, and social transformation. And so, right, you're like, well, those are some really big areas, some really broad topics. And they're broad because we want our students to see themselves as a computer science student. What does it mean to be a change maker in the field, right? And how do you do that through How do you do that through Opus Business, or how do you do that through computer science? So these are meant to be areas that is a lot more broad, because we want you to be able to explore and see what does that look like for you in your experience as you get ready for that next part of your purpose, and connecting your career to purpose and connecting that to your life outside of St. Thomas. So you can choose or be assigned a roommate who is also in any of the TBLCs. So they can, your roommate can be in change making, and you can be in social justice, or you both can be in social justice. So note that you can have a roommate within the TBLC of the 5 themes. Your housing preferences will determine where you live on campus. Housing preferencing mean that the residence halls that you preference, so we're asking you to preference at least 4 of those, 4 halls, and that's going to be the minimum they let you preference. So, but you can do up to 7. So, right, you got the 4 to the 7. And so you want to ensure that you are at least giving us 4 hall communities, right? Knowing that in ranking those, and knowing that you might get your first choice, you might get your third choice. It's all about creating that experience and ensuring that you have a residential space that you can call home with a preferred roommate, or with the roommate that we will match you with. So note that that is a part of the experience, and we want you to know that those 4 hall choices have a lot of impact in your theme-based learning community. Now let's dive into living learning communities, or LLCs. So for LLCs, have a couple more options. So there are 11 different ones. And so knowing that there are 11 different ones, these are designated for our first year students, and we're actually piloting for second year students. A couple other LLCs, so SY LLCs, you'll probably hear a lot more of that if you are a student who decides to come to St. Thomas. What does that look like for your second year, and still being engaged in community in our residence halls? So with these LLC options, you see that they all have halls associated with them. That means that that LLC is only located in that hall. So to be engaged with a living learning community, it is located in the hall that is shown here. So for Tommie North Hall, we have Aquinas Scholars, and that's the Aquinas Scholars Honors Program. So you have to be admitted into the Aquinas Scholars Honors Program in order to be in that LLC. Sustainability, Emerging Scholars for Justice, Healthcare Professions. So those are all the ones in Tommie North. In Murray Hall, we have Helping Professions, and we have Psychology and Neuroscience, also known as PAN. In Brady Hall, we have Catholic Studies Talos and Pathways to Engineering, also known as P2E, and E-Media. So those LLCs, again, you'll have that community in that fall semester in Brady Hall, and then you'll move into that newly renovated Dowling space. So lots of exciting things there. And then we have Ireland Hall, which is our Opus Business and our Economic Tools for Policy and Business. The biggest thing we want you to know here is that a lot of these sound like they're dedicated to a certain major minor program. Some of them have academic programs associated with it for being accepted into them. Some of them have math placements and English placements. We have all those details on our Residence Life website, so you can get more details about what each LLC has and the expectations of being in those LLCs. But also the nice thing to know is that a lot of them do have, again, that flexibility for you to see yourself. Right, you might say Opus Business sounds like a great LLC because I'm going to be an Opus Business student, but what does it look like if I want to do e-media and do journalism and marketing within my Opus Business career? Or if I want to do helping professions and help people within my business degree. And so this is a way we like to tell students that all of these options are great ones for you. It's just about finding out which one works best for you in your academic experience, but also your social and out of classroom experience also. Awesome. So your living learning communities. So here's some things, again, we're getting into the granular details. We're starting to look at and say, okay, what does this mean for me and my academic program and my student, or myself as a student? So your LLC preferences are impacted by many factors, right? So that academic program, your placement testing, AP credits, deposit date, and roommate choice. So all of those things create a what and who gets into an LLC, right? We do have high demand LLCs. So unfortunately, we don't see students all in their first choice LLC, but we do encourage you to find 2 or 3 LLCs that are of interest to you, because we know we have some that are at high demand. We want to be able to have students see themselves in multiple experiences within our LLC program. And so just note that this is something that, again, connected to demand of these experiences and really connected to right, showing that we want you to have more than one experience that you see yourself in within our LLCs. So most LLCs will work with your academic plan, including your major and minor program or in the core area courses. When we say major and minor program, that means that if you are declaring as a business student and you be an Emerging Scholars for Justice, that theology, I'm sorry, not theology. If you are going to be in the Opus Business LLC, that you'll take that Accounting 100 or that Business Entrepreneurship 100, and that works for your academic major minor program. When we say core area courses, that means a theology course or a sustainability course if you're not planning. So if you're Opus Business and not planning on being in sustainability at all, those courses can work for you in other areas that you have to meet requirements for graduation. So we like to tell students that and families that this is a choice that we will never not, we want your student to be here, retain here, and graduate on time with their academic plan. So we want to make sure that with this LLC program, it is a part of that. So again, some of those LLCs have math and English placement. We encourage that you work with your admissions counselor and academic counseling for more information. We also have which LLCs require a math and English placement on our website. Awesome. So now we're going to get into the housing selection process. And this is probably one of those things where you're all like, okay, what does this next part look like? Now I know about LLCs and TBLCs, but what's the next part? So we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper. So the housing preference form. The housing preference form is your first step in your housing assignment process. Some of you are like, when am I going to get that access to that form? That will be coming out through Murphy Online via the housing portal next week. So March 22nd, we'll start having access. You can edit this document until June 2nd to be exact. Just so you know, those who have their confirming deposits in, this is when you'll have access to that next week. For those who still do not have their confirming deposit in, that's okay. We still have time for you to get that in so you can start preferencing those things. For international students who might be on this call, you have a separate process. So just ensure that you're working with international student offices and services to ensure that you get that housing deposit in. I'll also tell you when it opens next week, it is not a first come, first serve. It is we're gathering your information and gathering your preferences. So if you do it March 22nd, or if you do it May 30th, there is no priority of how that is being assigned. So just want to give you that reassurance that it is open for that window for everyone, and we don't do any processing until after that. So it is important, very, very important that you preference your learning community. The form will not allow you to move forward if you don't pick an LLC or TBLC. So you have to choose LLC, or you can opt out of the LLC and say, I'm choosing a TBLC. So note that the form, right, it is a requirement for you to choose one or the other. It will not let you move forward in a housing preference form until you complete that learning community requirement. So note that that's going to be one of the first pieces that you need to do in order to keep accessing through the housing preference form. So we advise that if you're choosing an LLC, again, choosing more than one. We see students sometimes only give us one piece of data, and we need a little bit more than that. So we ask students to please preference more than one, at least two. Students who choose LLC as a first choice, they can also say, I really want this LLC, and if I don't have access to get this LLC, then I'm going to choose TBLC as my second or third choice. And that's okay too. Again, both paths are great for students. They were designed for first-year students. It truly is about what you want your experience to be here at St. Thomas in that first year. So for those who are choosing a TBLC path, again, we encourage you to rank those hall preferences to at least 4. For the LLC, your hall preferences should match where your LLCs are located, but it is not a requirement for that, because the LLC choice will override that. But for your for your TBLC choices, it is important that you do rank those 4 halls how you see your preferences. There's also a step-by-step guide that will be coming out on our website on how to do the preference form. So that's also very helpful to our students and families, so they can, when they get ready to click through on the week of March 22nd, they can kind of figure out and see, okay, how do I do this form right? First time looking at this document. And so there will be a step-by-step guide on our housing website. Okay, so the roommate process. So we know that for a lot of you, this is a big part of your decision-making process of who your roommate's gonna be, or you're like, I really wanna find a good roommate, or I know who that roommate is. We know it's very impactful for you all. And some of you submitted questions beforehand. We had access to review those. So hopefully we can answer some of those questions for you all. So we'll start with if you have a roommate that you know you want to have. So if you have that roommate in mind, your preferences need to match for LLC and TBLC. This means that if you and your roommate want to live together, everything for an LLC should match. So if you first want to do Opus Business, and then you want to do sustainability, and then you want to do TBLC, all those preferences should line up with each other. For those who are in a TBLC path, because on the housing preference form, you don't pick exactly which TBLC you want to be in, it is more so matching and ensuring that your first choice both say, we both want to opt out of the LLC experience and into the TBLC experience. So you and your roommate must have those preferences. Again, the same on the form. Again, recommending 2 to 3, right? You're going to hear this, you're going to hear some repeated things because we know some of you are talking, having conversation, wants to reinforce these same numbers throughout the whole presentation. So your hall preferences should also match when they are with the LLC and where that LLC is located. If you do not have a roommate in mind, you'll have an opportunity to find one, or we will match you with a roommate with some matching questions on our housing preference form. And so you'll see a little bit of that when you, again, start diving in. It's some lifestyle questions, just talking about, am I a messy person? Am I an early person? Am I a clean person? Those kind of personality questions that you know about yourself and how you live in your space is going to be available to you to answer some of those things. So you're like, when does this process start? How do I know what to do and when to do it? So the first thing is that in the early part of June, after you receive your LLC and TBLC placement, we'll provide Facebook groups for those who do not have roommates. So you can find one in each of the LLCs. So that means Aquinas Scholars will have one, Opus Business, Sustainability, Economic Tools. All of the LLCs will have a page for you to go and find a roommate after you've been placed. And then we'll have a page just for all the TBLC students to find a roommate. So I've seen some of you on the first year, your class of 2025 page. Some of you are already looking and finding roommates or finding each other through Snapchat or through Facebook. Note that is great. We do encourage you that as you are looking for roommates to keep in mind your TBLC and LLC options and what you want your experience to be, because that is going to be the first part of your process and of your step after completing that housing application. And then on the week of June 14th, this is when you're actually go in and say, okay, this person is my roommate and I'm gonna preference them. And then you'll have till the end of June to be able to do that. So note that is kind of that process for your roommate. So you're gonna make sure that all your preferences are lining up with each other. You will not do, you and your roommate will separately do your housing applications, right? And so you wanna make sure if you do have someone in mind, you start communicating, talking before you do that housing preference form. And then once you get to when you get to the week of June 14th, you know exactly where and who your roommate is going to be, and no hiccups will happen. I will tell you one of the most common things that happen for students when they don't get their roommate preference and there is an error is because their preferences did not line up and they couldn't choose each other as roommates. So again, being sure that when you're completing that housing preference form that both of your preferences align with each other. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I've been told I'm talking too fast. I'm so sorry. I get a little nervous too. So thank you, Amanda, for reaching out to me and letting me know that I am talking too fast. So I'll try to slow it a little bit down. Unfortunately, that is all of the content part of our presentation. So when we get to the Q&A section, I'll ensure to talk a little slower and explain a little bit of things so I'm not talking super fast. So I do have the opportunity for us to meet our current students. So this is a great experience, a part of the the Res Life experience or the Tommie webinars is for our current students to be able to meet some incoming students and vice versa. So I'm gonna kick it off to Kaylee first and she will introduce herself.
Hey everyone, my name is Kaylee. I am currently a junior here at St. Thomas. I'm studying psychology and justice and peace studies with minors in family studies and interfaith leadership, which is a mouthful, but really I just love community and finding meaningful engagement in the world. I'm originally from Minnetonka, Minnesota, so shout out to any of my skippers if you're on here. And I've been really lucky to be super involved during my past almost 3 years here at St. Thomas. I've had many on-campus jobs, including being an admissions intern currently working with our Tommie ambassadors. I also work a few desk jobs, do research, and I'm one of our peer mentors for our first year experience courses like Shekinah was just talking about. I'm also involved in some clubs on campus for faith related, but also kind of career related. And I'm a part of our undergraduate student government. In terms of my involvement in Res Life, I feel like I was one of those students who tried to get to every single Res Life event offered when I was especially living on campus as a first year in Dowling Hall. I remember just all of the free food giveaways were kind of my favorite, and they do a really good job of choosing ones that you'll actually want to go to and really find meaningful engagement at. I also remember one where they hosted a event that was like Shamrock Shake edition, and I really loved that one. So those are some of my favorite ways to get involved in residence life. But other than that, I love just meeting people in my hall and forming connections that way, and finding kind of common points if people also shared my major or we were involved in the same clubs. It was really an awesome way to just make St. Thomas feel a little bit more like home. And that really kind of gets at my favorite part of living on campus. I have, as you can see on the screen, lived on campus all 3 years. And I really just love the community engagement that is available when you live on campus. Running into people in the hallways and even seeing people in those community bathrooms is something you have probably never experienced before and probably will never experience after college. And I think it's a really just unique and honestly exciting thing that living on campus offers. And like I said, you don't get that nearly anywhere else. Yeah, I'm going to kick it off to Ben now, and he can introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Thomas. I'm a first-year student from Rockford, Illinois. My major is currently I'm undecided, but I'm leaning towards chemistry and definitely something STEM related. On campus, I'm involved in the Aquinas Scholars Program and that LLC. And then I'm also a part of the Tommie Ambassadors Program and some various other clubs on campus. And then in terms of residence life involvement, I am a member of the Tommie North Community Events Board. So we help plan out different events for the Tommie North dorm. So that is pretty exciting for me. We've done different like Kahoot games and things to try and keep everyone involved this year. And I really enjoy living on campus just because it's nice to be in super close proximity to all of my friends. And I think it's a great way to be meeting people that are in my classes and just being able to walk down the hall and pass like 5 or 10 of them. And just it makes it very easy to hang out and grow in community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben and Kaylee. So now we're going to the portion of the live Q&A. So we actually have about 10, 15 minutes to answer some of those questions. I see a lot of you are getting some of those answered. I am going to kick it off to our students a little bit, right? And so I'm going to start with Kaylee and Ben asking the question, what was it like for you to be connected on campus during this year with the residence hall and the residence life?
Yeah, so obviously it was a bit of a weird year this year with COVID restrictions and everything. But personally, I thought that there were definitely still ways that I could meet a lot of people on campus. Just through being in close proximity, I think it's inevitable that you meet a community that is in your dorm. So I have a good friend group of like 5 or 10 people, and we'll always hang out in the lounges in Tommie North. And then also our dorm will plan different events that we can attend, like different online games and things, so that we can still build community while staying safe.
Yeah, I feel like Ben, you answered that really well. I kind of have a different situation this year because I live in one of the on-campus apartments. So it's a little kind of more like, I guess, secluded and just me and my roommates, but we've had such a fun time still getting engaged. There's still so many clubs and organizations so active on campus. And plus our like event programming organization STAR still does so many things, like Ben said, a lot of online options, but even more in person too. And yeah, I've had a really, I think, easy time staying engaged. You do have to work at it, but that's typical during any year, non-COVID too. So yeah, I've still had a really fun year.
Awesome. I'd love to hear that you all still had a great year through the circumstances, and next in the fall, right? We're hoping to be different and open live and all the way up. So it's exciting to see that you all have still impactful experiences here at St. Thomas. Aaron, my other question for you, can you be undecided, and does that affect, undecided as a major, and does that affect your roommate or your housing preferencing?
Thanks, Shekinah, and that's a great question. So if you are undecided and think you will be actually coming in on the first day undecided, the first thing to know is you're not going to be alone. A lot of our first year students come in not fully knowing what they want to do. And here at St. Thomas, we don't actually declare or pick your major right away anyway. You don't really do that until after your first year. So if you have a good sense of what you want to do for a major, yes, you're going to want to try and align some of your courses, especially if you're in a major that has a pretty strict alignment of courses over the 4 years. But if you're someone who isn't quite sure, or maybe you have it down to 2 or 3 different ones and you want to get into some classes before you make that final decision, that is perfectly fine. And how you pick an LLC or TBLC really doesn't matter on that. These are more about the experiences. They are open to all majors. Yes, the LLC path is ideally a little bit more for someone who does kind of know what they want that major to be, but only from the standpoint of the in-depth relationships. These LLCs are really about meeting students who you'll be in class with, and then you're also living in the same community. The faculty members are doing a lot of out-of-class experiences, so you're going to develop that relationship with a faculty that you could then see over the next 4 years if you're majoring in it. So it's about that in-depth relationship. So there's some value there if you know what you want to major. But at TBLC, you get the same things. You know, these are courses that matter no matter what you're doing or what you're going to major in down the road. I see some questions in here about, you know, can I major in this, you know, engineering, but then pick, you know, science, LSU, or whatever it be. Yeah, you can mix and match. And especially in the fall of your first year, you have lots of flexibility. We have a core, so you have to take certain courses anyway. You have lots of credits that you have to take. We were intentional about not picking courses that were kind of, I wouldn't say throwaway, but ones that just didn't matter. They all matter. They're going to add up to your credits. They're going to make a difference for you. So you can't really go wrong on that. So I wouldn't worry about it. It's really about just different experiences as you're thinking about it. And if you're undecided, please do not worry about being undecided. A lot of our students are, and that's part of college, is to come in and take some different courses, figure things out, and then make that decision as you go down the road. So great question.
Great, thank you, Aaron. For Kaylee, Ben, this question is for you. Oh, sorry, it just moved on me. Did either of you do a random roommate process? Is it pretty effective to getting to know someone along the way, or would you recommend finding a roommate ahead of time?
I can answer that first. So I did not do a random roommate. I was part of the crew that logged on to the St. Thomas 2022 class Facebook page and just kind of searched around for someone who I felt like would, you know, click with me as a roommate. And that proved to be really effective for me. I had a great first year roommate I still see around campus, and like we're super good, like I guess friends, I guess. But yeah, it worked well for me. I do know plenty of people though too who have great success with the random roommate selection. And I was not part of the crew who is involved, or my class did not do the LLCs. So it was a much like broader base, I think, for people, but I've heard like nothing but praises for random selections, especially within the LLC. in the theme-based learning community programs now. So I think it's a good option either way you choose.
Yeah, I did go random this year for my roommate. So I really think it's just a matter of personal preference. You definitely do know though that you will be matched with someone at least that is a little bit like you, because you're going to be matched with someone in the same LLC or TBLC. And then you will also take a little like 5 or 10 question survey, and then they will match with someone who has similar responses. So for me, it's been really good. I get along great with my roommate, and we like to hang out and things. And I haven't heard of really any bad stories about people going random roommates, but I also do know people that met online or came from high school and also love it. So I guess it's just a matter of personal preference.
Great, thank you for sharing. So 2 very different and unique experiences with that. Aaron, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I'll just add in, we see about a 50-50 split on this in terms of people who are sending us roommate requests and those who we are just randomly assigning into it. And so it's really about where you are right now. I will say that our formal stance on this as a university, as educators, is if you don't have someone right now that is absolutely someone who you want to be a roommate with and is going to then dictate how you respond to all these things we're talking about, if you don't have that person in mind, I would pause and wait. Pause and wait and let you make choices that are best for you, and let everyone else make choices that are best for them, whether that's LLC or TBLC, hall preferences, whatever it might be, completing those preferences as yourself. We then in June will give you an opportunity to find someone within that grouping if you want. So we'll send out, if you're in an LLC, for example, we're going to send out a Facebook group of just those in that LLC. And if you want to do some social interaction to find someone, you can. If you just want to say to us, no, pick me someone who's in this randomly based on the questions that Ben was referencing, we will do that. Same thing if you choose a TBLC. We will send out, a Facebook grouping. You can find someone or not find someone. So if you don't have someone right now, I know this is hard, I would pause. And I'm telling my son this the same thing. Pause and wait, make choices that are right for you. Because we have seen this, we've been doing this a very long time, and we've seen this work out a lot of different ways. We've seen people come in with their best friend, if you will, or someone that they found, and they come in and it doesn't work. And it doesn't work at the same rate as someone who comes in and we randomly match them up with someone not working as well too. College is a very different experience. It's not like living at home and then seeing a friend, out in a social setting or at school in a sports field. You're actually living together. And the reality is none of us, when we were 18 years old, had any idea if we were compatible with someone else based on some interactions that we've had. So, there is no right or wrong way to do this. The path that you take is the right path for you, and we'll support you in that path.
Thank you, Aaron. Great segue to a couple people I posted some live. So lots of questions about, right, if I do have a roommate, do I decide to choose my major? Do we choose my roommate's major? Do we choose, what does that look like and how, right? And because the reality is, for those who have roommates that you're interested in, you probably don't have the similar academic interests with each other. And so, right, our answer to that is, again, find that experience is going to be great for you. Some of these LLC experiences, and particularly with LLC experiences, it's not as flexible for all of the academic programs that are out there, right? There are some that work for everyone, and there are some that only works for a certain group. For instance, e-media is one of those ones, like unless you're going into that profession as a major or minor program, those courses won't work anywhere for you else in your core. However, if you're interested in sustainability, that will meet one of your core areas for you. If both of you say, we're actually really interested in sustainability together, that one will meet for 2 people for their core areas. So there are some that do work a little bit better. I will tell you, we are not telling one student to sacrifice their major or academic program for another just to be roommates. We also know that when we get to the part of adding students into these LLCs, and the first part is getting into the academic course itself. So again, that's where those other factors of math placement, what if you're bringing in credits from another campus or AP credits. And so all those factors do come into play. And we've seen students who say we're going to do this LLC together and it doesn't work for both students. And so sometimes they'll choose another LLC together. Or again, TBLC will give you that a better flexibility if you are not interested in the same academic plans. Someone asks, right, what does it look like to be in environmental sustainability as a biology major? They are more interdisciplinary, which meaning that it gives you more flexibility to say both of you are in different academic fields in different areas and saying, well, this TBLC, and even you can choose between TBLC, whichever one, you can pick the same ones, you can pick different ones. So that gives you some more flexibility when it comes to having different academic interests. I will also say that a lot of these different themes cover a wide variety of majors and academic programs. So it is not, so if you see environmental sustainability, there's some Opus business classes in there. There's some sustainability classes in there. There's some healthcare biology classes in there. There's some pre-law classes in there. So there's a lot of opportunities within each of those themes for you to be able to still be on track with your major program and ideas of what you want your career to be. So know that, again, they are designed to be able to be flexible for you and students and your academic plan, and they will have opportunities for you to meet that requirement and still be engaged with your major program. So know that that is a big piece and a part of this, is just knowing that you will have that more flexibility in the TBLCs if you have roommates and you both have different academic or personal interests. For LLCs, another thing that I saw was courses. And a lot of details and asking where are these descriptors, where is this information? Again, it's all on our website. You can actually see what courses we are offering for each of those LLCs on our website. For the TBLCs, that they do not have access to that right now, you as students. However, we can provide you to go to academic counseling to find support to see once you get that confirming deposit and kind of start getting through that course preference form, which you'll get more details about in the next month or so. That will be an opportunity for you to go in and say, oh, wow, I'm really looking into seeing this TBLC and giving me opportunity to do that. Again, it's not a first come, first serve for the housing preference form, right? We have that time because we do know that based on, you might have some academic questions that might need to be answered by academic counseling, and they are there to help you and support you from end of April through May. And so knowing that you have that opportunity to make those decisions. Nothing of next week has to be like, okay, when that housing preference form, I need to be solidified, I need to have this exact thing right. That does not need to be solidified next week. You have time as long as you get it done by June 2nd. And so that's the biggest deadline you need to know, is that June 2nd is that time where your course preference, your housing preference, and your placement testing needs to be done. So knowing that you have all those flexibilities to not have to make a decision next week, because some of you might be like, oh, now I've seen this presentation, I have no idea what I want to go and which way I want to do for my program and my experience for LLCs. So know that that is a part of that, that you don't have to make a decision next week. We do ask you to think about it and be sure about that decision, because once June 2nd hits, you won't have that flexibility to change it as much. But yeah, talk to your roommates that you plan on having. For those who don't plan on having roommates, there's another question in there about what are some of those questions that are going to be asked on that roommate portion of the roommate matching questions. So some of those things is, do I like staying up early? Do I like being up early, or do I like being up late? Am I a loud person, like loud music, or do I not? For some of those students who smoke tobacco, right, we don't allow tobacco smoking in our residence hall or our campus, but right, if some people do have smoking habits off campus with tobacco products, like they want to ask those questions, right, because there's something, a smell, a stench, or right, you might be allergic to it. So knowing that those are some of the questions we ask. Are you a clean or are you a messy person? Neither one of those questions are wrong, but we like to know, right? So that way students, we don't want a clean person living with a messy person, just because, sometimes that doesn't always work out well. So there's some of those, about 6 or 7 questions that we directly ask on that, in this kind of yes or no kind of question and answers.
Shekinah, I did see some questions about confirming, and I want to make sure we clarify for everyone. Once you have the housing preference, there's not a timeline, if you will, on how fast you fill that out, as Shekinah has mentioned. What does matter, however, is when you do get that housing preference in regard to you being confirming. There's a date. So when we receive your $400 confirming deposit, that date is noted in the system. If when we're going through housing and course preferences and we're looking to make that final assignment, if we have a space shortage in, say, a particular LLC or in a particular hall preference, we do go to that housing deposit date to break a tie, if you will, or to make some final decisions. So it's not the primary thing that we use the date for in terms of making a housing assignment, but we do use the dates. So not to put pressure on, but to really be clear that that housing deposit dates in terms of that confirming deposit, which is your class confirming and your housing deposit merged together, that date could matter down the road for you. So if you're really thinking about St. Thomas as a school for you, if you're down to between us and two other schools or whatever it might be, you might want to put this deposit in if you can. You might want to make a decision on a school a little sooner, because schools all do have deposits as well too, and really get that confirming deposit in, because you can't start making some of these preferences and choices with us until that deposit's in. So I did want to make that clarifying question because I was seeing some of that come up on the chat there. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And then I think we have about for two more questions. So Kaylee and Ben, I'm going to ask you a question. Did either of you have work study on campus? And if not, do you have current employment, and how easy or accessible is student employment on campus and engaging?
I do not have work study or a student job on campus this semester, but I do know quite a few people that do, and it seems to be very accessible, but I won't speak to that as much because I don't have as much experience with it.
Yeah, I am not under the specific work study program. That's more along lines of financial aid, in a way, kind of a means to pay for college in a different capacity. But like I said, I have, I think, 4 jobs right now, and have had a job ever since my freshman first semester. And I have found it so, so easy. St. Thomas has like a student employment posting page online, and that's almost always where I found my jobs. If not, it was through word of mouth, just being connected with different opportunities and organizations. So yeah, short answer, it's super easy to get a job on campus. I love it. I think it will be the shortest commute I ever have, walking from my apartment to the Anderson Student Center. It's like a 4-minute walk. So I would totally recommend, if you can have time in your schedule between classes and clubs and everything, getting a job, because it's a great way to just meet new people and also have a little bit of money to either pay for college yourself or have some money on the weekends to spend.
Awesome, thank you. And then Erin, you probably will answer our last question, but can you talk a little bit about our individual like common spaces in our halls and communities for those who like cooking and baking or other hobbies like gaming, social spaces, common rooms, things like that?
Absolutely. So all of our halls do have common space. We refer to them as a study room, which tends to be a little bit smaller. It's tables and desks, chairs type of arrangement in there, which is great for group study, individual study, quiet or talking, whatever it might be. And then we have space that we kind of call lounges. We put some soft seating in there. It's a mix of hard and soft furniture. And again, it can be great for studying, but also an opportunity to kind of hang out, put on some events, whatever it might be in those spaces. We have community kitchens. Tommie North has them on each floor because we have large floors. Some of our halls have them hall wide. Brady and Dowling, as they get renovated, will all have common kitchens as well too. So they're just different space. Our spaces also have what we call recreation, and that might be where you find a ping pong table or a pool table or a foosball or some gaming. So we've come on with the times, and we've got large flat screen TVs and gaming systems in our halls, and you can bring your own and hook it up to it, or we have them also on site too, and get some large group gaming going. Our new halls actually have kind of theater gaming rooms, dark rooms, where you can go in and do some pretty hardcore gaming stuff. And we know a lot of students bring them for their rooms anyway, but we also have common space for it too. And then there's just some great outdoor space on campus too. And so know that our students will love to take advantage of the outdoors with our quads and our amphitheaters and just little nooks and crannies outside. Obviously not in the middle of winter, but the falls and the springs are beautiful. And so a lot of studying, a lot of group conversation, classes will get moved outside sometimes. We've got activities to do out on the lawn, like lawn game types of stuff. So we try and make use of all of our space on campus to help you connect and connect with each other and develop relationships. Great question.
Great, thank you. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to kind of try to wrap. I know we have a lot of questions that went unanswered. A lot of things are on our websites. If you have any questions, I'll bring, in a second, we'll bring up some other slides to just get you some next step kind of things. But someone also asked about the dining hall. So can you eat anywhere on campus? Yes. So your dining hall, your meal plan would allow you in any of our residential or retail dining spaces. So know that you can use that anywhere on campus and also on our Minneapolis campus. There's also some food options. Some of the students, especially if you're going to be an education major, some of your classes will be in downtown Minneapolis, and we also have food options there for you too. So note that you can use your meal plan in a lot of those places. Someone else asked a lot about what does the allergies look like and having different stations for allergies. We did talk about our G8 a little bit. The G8 station is just an allergy-free space of the major 8 allergens that people typically have. I can't name all of them right now. I can just name mine that I have. So tree nuts is one, or peanuts is another. For some people, it's soy, it's dairy. So those big ones that you think about when a lot of people wheat, grain, sometimes those are the ones that we talk about a lot, and that's within that GA station. So it's free of all of those things, of those big 8. More can be found on our dining website. And so, but I do want to wrap this up. I know there's a lot of questions. But please visit us. We know that virtually, right, this is a different experience, and we enjoy that you all were here. We had over 300 of you here, but we have some opportunities for you to have a guided tour on our St. Paul campus and a guided tour of our residence halls. So we have the virtual ones also available on our website on Residence Life. But also please visit us. Most of our days that admissions is doing tours is Monday through Friday with some Saturdays. So I know for some of you who have a busier Monday through Friday week, we do have some Saturday availabilities to be able to do that. And then also being able to set up virtual appointments with faculty and or financial aid is also available for you too. So please visit more for all of our in-person at stthomas.edu/visit. All right, and please contact us. So we know that you had a lot of questions today, right, about a lot of different things. Anything related to housing, please do that at Residence Life, reslife at stthomas.edu. Any of your learning community questions, so that's everything from roommates to which one is going to be the best for me. I can tell you right now, a lot of families email me saying, what choice should my student make? I will never push a student to say this is a choice you should make, because what your experience is going to be your experience. So I will give you advice and I will direct you to our website, and I would love to help you talk to your student. Please feel free to contact me. This is my job full time, is to help support students through that learning community requirement. So I would love to help you and your student do that. And then undergraduate admissions is another great resource. They can direct you to any kind of part of campus with your questions. So, but for Residence Life, also please visit our website. We did a really good flush through of our whole website this year. So knowing that everything's up to date, from measurements to where bathrooms are to layouts. So all of that is also available on our website. And so thank you all for being here today. We are going to there's another opportunity for you all. We have some students waiting on the Zoom meeting for you to talk to you more about their experiences and answer more questions for you. We just posted that, thank you, Chris, so much, in the chat function. So please click that link, and that will give you the direction to that next part. We thank you and appreciate you all being here during this time of our virtual Residence Life Day, and we hope to hear from you soon. And please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you all.